Across the opulent charity gala, her controlling ex-boyfriend locked eyes with her, and in a surge of panic, she instinctively grabbed the nearest stranger, pleading with him to pose as her boyfriend. Little did she realize, the man she clung to was the city's most formidable mafia boss, a man who had, his entire life, yearned for someone truly deserving of his absolute protection. The crystal champagne flute trembled in Lily's grasp as her gaze swept across the glittering expanse of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom. Dazzling chandeliers cast undulating shadows over designer gowns and perfectly tailored suits, as Manhattan's elite mingled beneath priceless oil paintings. She felt utterly out of place, her borrowed black dress and replica heels a stark contrast to the surrounding extravagance. Yet, desperation had propelled her to infiltrate this children's hospital charity event. 3 months without employment, with bills mounting like autumn leaves, she desperately needed to cultivate connections. A single conversation with the right individual could utterly transform her circumstances. "Excuse me, miss?" A waiter glided past, a silver tray laden with hors d'oeuvres. "Thank you." Lily selected a small appetizer, feigning composure as she strategically positioned herself near a group of pharmaceutical executives. She had meticulously studied the guest list, committing faces and corporate affiliations to memory. Her strategy was straightforward: blend in, forge connections, secure interviews. What could possibly go awry? Apparently, everything. Across the thronged room, near the elegant display of auction items, vacation packages, and exquisite art, she saw him. Ryan Mitchell. His familiar sandy hair and sharply defined jawline sent a jolt of ice through her veins. He was supposed to be in Chicago for his consulting job. What was his presence here? Their eyes met across the sea of people, and his expression shifted dramatically from casual interest to a predatory intensity. A slow, cruel smile spread across his lips, precisely the same expression he'd worn during their last confrontation when he'd cornered her in her apartment, demanding to know why she was attempting to leave him. Ryan began to navigate the crowd with purpose, his expensive suit allowing him to seamlessly blend with the other attendees. But Lily recognized that determined stride. She had witnessed it countless times before he would erupt into one of his controlling rages. Panic clawed at her chest. She had specifically relocated to New York to escape him, changing her phone number and blocking him on all social media platforms. How had he managed to track her down? "You look as if you've seen a ghost." A deep voice beside her made her jump. Lily turned, finding herself gazing up at the most intimidating man she had ever encountered. He stood tall, easily 6 feet 3 inches, with dark hair swept back and piercing gray eyes that seemed to penetrate her very being. His black tuxedo fit impeccably, tailored as if specially crafted for his broad shoulders and lean physique. Everything about him exuded power and an underlying danger, from his self-assured posture to the way other guests instinctively moved aside as he passed. Lily's gaze flickered back towards Ryan, who was now barely 20 feet away, pushing past a cluster of socialites with thinly veiled irritation. Without a conscious thought, desperation overriding logic, she seized the stranger's arm, her fingers meeting solid muscle beneath the expensive fabric. "Please," she whispered urgently, "pretend you're my boyfriend, just for a few minutes, please." Most men would have recoiled, demanded an explanation, or assumed she was deranged. This man, however, merely studied her face with those calculating gray eyes for precisely 2 seconds before making his decision. His arm slipped smoothly around her waist, drawing her against his side with a fluid confidence, as if they had performed this dance 1,000 times before. The gesture was possessive, yet undeniably protective, and Lily felt an unexpected electric jolt at the contact. "Of course, sweetheart," he murmured smoothly, his voice carrying just enough warmth to make the performance believable. "I was wondering where you had disappeared to." Before Lily could respond, he gently cupped her face with his free hand and lightly brushed his lips against her cheek. It was a soft, intimate gesture, designed to appear convincingly romantic to any observer. His cologne, a subtle yet intoxicating blend of cedar and something darker, made her pulse quicken. "Lily?" Ryan's voice sliced through the ambient chatter like a sharp blade. He stood barely 3 feet away now, his brown eyes blazing with a familiar fury. Up close, she could discern the slight flush in his cheeks that invariably preceded his most volatile outbursts. "Ryan?" Her voice emerged steadier than she felt, bolstered by the solid presence of the man beside her. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing." Ryan's gaze shifted to her companion, and something flickered across his expression. Surprise, then cold calculation. "I don't believe we've met." "Adrian Cole," the stranger replied, extending his hand with an air of casual authority. His grip appeared firm enough to crush bones, though his smile remained perfectly polite. "And you are?" "Ryan Mitchell, Lily's boyfriend." "Ex-boyfriend," Lily corrected swiftly, feeling Adrian's arm tighten protectively around her waist. Adrian's smile never faltered, but a glacial flicker entered his eyes. "Ah, well, Ryan, it was pleasant meeting you, but Lily and I were just heading to our table. The auction is about to commence." It wasn't a mere suggestion. The dismissal in Adrian's tone was subtle, yet unmistakable, carrying the kind of authority that compelled successful men to retreat without fully comprehending why. Ryan's jaw clenched. "Lily, we need to speak privately." "I don't believe so," Adrian interjected before she could respond. His voice remained pleasant, conversational, but an underlying steel resonated. "The lady appears perfectly content where she is." The tension between the two men was palpable, suffocating. Ryan looked poised for a confrontation, but something in Adrian's unwavering confidence gave him pause. Other guests were beginning to notice the standoff, whispers starting to ripple outward. "This isn't over," Ryan finally declared, his voice low and venomous. He stared at Lily with the proprietary rage that had driven her to abandon Chicago in the first place. "We'll conclude this conversation later." He stalked away through the crowd, but not before casting one last glance over his shoulder, a promise that sent a chill down Lily's spine. "Well," Adrian remarked once Ryan had vanished, "he seems charming." Despite everything, Lily almost chuckled. "You have no idea." She suddenly realized she was still pressed against Adrian's side and immediately stepped back, a strange regret filling her at the loss of his warmth. "Thank you. I'm truly sorry for involving you in that." "Don't apologize." Adrian's expression had softened slightly, though his eyes remained watchful. "I gather you two didn't part on the best terms." "That's putting it mildly." Lily wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly feeling exposed without Adrian's protective presence. "I should leave. He'll probably be lurking outside." "Then we'll ensure you get home safely." The "we" was stated as a simple fact, neither a question nor an offer. Lily looked up at him, observing the sharp intelligence behind those gray eyes, the way he commanded attention effortlessly, the expensive watch that likely cost more than her car. "I don't even know who you are," she said softly. Adrian smiled then, and it transformed his entire face from intimidating to devastatingly handsome. "Well, then we should rectify that. Adrian Cole, entrepreneur, and you're Lily Thompson." "Lily Thompson," she hesitated. "What kind of entrepreneur?" "The successful kind." His answer was smooth, yet revealed nothing. "Now, shall we get you out of here before your friend decides to cause another scene?" As Adrian guided her towards the exit, his hand resting gently on the small of her back, Lily couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that she had simply traded one perilous situation for another. She had no idea just how right she was. The crisp October air brushed Lily's face as Adrian escorted her through the Ritz-Carlton's opulent marble lobby. His hand remained steadfastly on the small of her back, a steadying presence that somehow made the lavish surroundings feel less daunting. Doormen in their immaculate uniforms nodded respectfully at Adrian as they passed, their deference suggesting he was far more than just another wealthy guest. "My car's just out front," Adrian announced, indicating a sleek black sedan that appeared to cost more than most people's homes. "Oh, that's all right. I can easily catch a cab." "Absolutely not," his tone brooked no argument. "Not with your ex-boyfriend still lurking." Through the expansive windows, Lily spotted Ryan pacing agitatedly near the hotel's fountain, his phone pressed to his ear. Even from this distance, his agitation was evident in his sharp gestures and the rigid set of his shoulders. Her stomach tightened with familiar dread. "He's persistent," she murmured. "Obsessive is more accurate." Adrian's gray eyes tracked Ryan's movements with the cold precision of a predator observing its prey. How long were you together? 2 years too long. Lily pulled her borrowed shawl tighter around her shoulders. I truly believed I had escaped when I moved here. Changed my number, deleted all social media, the whole thing. Adrian's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Yet, here he is. The valet approached with Adrian's keys, but he waved the young man off and personally opened the passenger door. The interior smelled of expensive leather and a subtle cologne, with technology that probably rivaled NASA's control room. Where to? Adrian inquired as he slid smoothly behind the wheel. Lily rattled off her Brooklyn address, immediately feeling self-conscious about her modest neighborhood compared to his obvious wealth. But Adrian simply programmed the GPS without a word, his movements efficient and utterly confident. As they pulled away from the hotel, Lily caught sight of Ryan in the side mirror. He was staring directly at their car, his face contorted with a kind of rage that had once made her sleep with a chair wedged against her bedroom door. "He's watching us," she said quietly. Adrian's eyes flickered to the rearview mirror. "I noticed." His voice was calm, but something dangerous flickered across his features. "Tell me about him." What should I expect? The question struck her as peculiar. Typically, men would drop her off and quickly dismiss any lingering drama by morning. Yet, Adrian spoke as if meticulously planning for future interactions. "Ryan doesn't handle rejection gracefully," Lily carefully explained. "He's controlling, possessive. He has this insatiable need to win at everything. And when I ended things, I think he perceived it as a loss. Has he hurt you physically?" The directness of the question caught her off guard. Most people tiptoed around the subject, uncomfortable with its implications. Adrian's blunt approach was both refreshing and disquieting. Not physically, she conceded, but he masterfully wields words like weapons and is utterly relentless when he desires something. They drove in silence for several minutes, the city lights becoming a blur outside the windows. Lily found herself repeatedly stealing glances at Adrian's profile, the sharp cheekbones, the strong jaw, the practiced ease with which his hands gripped the steering wheel. There was an undeniable aura of power and control about him. However, unlike Ryan's stifling dominance, Adrian's presence felt protective rather than menacing. "Why did you intervene earlier?" she finally asked. Most individuals would have steered clear of such a volatile situation. Adrian's smile was subtle yet genuine. "I have no patience for bullies." His tone hinted at personal experience, but before Lily could delve deeper, they arrived at her building, a renovated brownstone and park slope that had certainly seen better days. Adrian parked and was out of the car before she could even object, opening her door as if they were on a genuine date, not narrowly escaping her unhinged ex-boyfriend. "Thank you," Lily said as they stood on the sidewalk, "for everything. I know this wasn't how you envisioned spending your evening. Actually, it was the most interesting part." Adrian scrutinized her face in the glow of the streetlights. "Lily, may I ask you something?" She nodded, intrigued despite herself. "If you need a boyfriend to keep that guy at bay," he stated, his voice grave, "I can genuinely be that for you." Lily blinked, convinced she had misheard. Then she let out a slightly hysterical laugh that echoed down the quiet street. "You're joking, right?" Yet Adrian's expression remained utterly serious. "I don't joke about matters of this gravity." "But you don't even know me," she protested. "We literally just met 3 hours ago." "I know enough." His steady gray eyes held hers. "I know you're courageous enough to crash a charity gala to seek employment, clever enough to extricate yourself from a difficult situation, and resilient enough to rebuild your life in a new city." The sincerity in his voice caused an unexpected tightening in her chest. When was the last time someone had recognized her strength instead of her vulnerability? "Adrian, that's incredibly sweet. But consider this," he gently interjected. "Ryan saw us together tonight. He now knows you have someone in your life. That might be sufficient to make him retreat. And if it isn't," something cold and resolute flickered in Adrian's eyes, suggesting he was far more formidable than his polished exterior implied. "Then we'll address that when the time comes." He waited until she was safely inside the building's lobby before driving away, but Lily couldn't shake the sensation of being observed. From her third-floor window, she spotted a familiar figure across the street, partially concealed in the shadows between the streetlights. Ryan. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. He won't always be around to protect you. We need to talk. R. 20 minutes later, as Lily double-locked her door and checked the windows for the third time, another car silently glided into position down the block. The driver's window rolled down just enough to reveal vigilant eyes trained on Ryan's hiding spot. Adrian Cole kept his promises. From his own car 2 blocks away, Adrian spoke quietly into his phone. "Marcus, I need surveillance on someone. Ryan Mitchell, send me everything you can find." His consigliere's voice was dry with amusement. "Boss, you've only known this girl for 4 hours. Then we'd better work fast." 3 days after the charity gala, Lily was beginning to wonder if she had imagined the entire surreal evening. Then Adrian Cole appeared outside her office building at precisely 6:17 p.m., leaning against his black sedan as if he belonged there. "How did you—" she started, then stopped. Of course, he'd found her workplace. Men like Adrian Cole didn't leave things to chance. "Thought you might appreciate dinner," he said, straightening as she approached. He wore a charcoal suit that likely cost more than her monthly rent, yet somehow made her feel merely underdressed in her simple blouse and pencil skirt, rather than intimidated. "Adrian, you don't have to. I want to." His smile was warm, but his eyes professionally scanned the street behind her with thoroughness. "Besides, I promised to keep you safe from your persistent ex. Can't do that if I don't know your whereabouts." The logic was undeniable, even if the execution felt like something out of a movie. Lily found herself sliding into the passenger seat despite every rational thought screaming that normal men didn't conduct surveillance operations on women they'd known for 72 hours. "Any communication from Ryan?" Adrian asked as they merged into traffic. Just the usual charming messages. Lily's phone had been constantly buzzing with texts from blocked numbers, each one more unhinged than the last. "You can't hide behind him forever. I know where you work now. He's using you just like I said he would." Adrian's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Show me." "It's nothing I haven't heard before." "Lily," his voice carried a quiet authority. "Show me." She scrolled through the messages, watching Adrian's expression darken progressively. By the time she reached Ryan's latest masterpiece, "Your new boyfriend is hiding something. Ask him what he really does for work." Adrian appeared ready to commit murder. "He's escalating," Adrian finally stated. "How do you know about—" "I've dealt with stalkers in my business." The explanation came too quickly, too smoothly. The pattern is always the same. First they threaten you directly, then they attempt to turn you against the people protecting you. They pulled up to an upscale Italian restaurant where the maitre d' greeted Adrian by name and led them to a secluded corner table. Lily noticed how Adrian positioned himself facing the door, how his eyes meticulously tracked every new arrival, and how the staff treated him with the kind of deference reserved for either very important or very dangerous individuals. "What exactly do you do?" she asked once they had ordered. "Import and export." Adrian's answer was as vague as it was immediate. "Mainly luxury goods, art, wine, that sort of thing." "That must be lucrative," she gestured at their surroundings, the expensive watch on his wrist. The way he had ordered the most expensive wine without a glance at the price. "I've been fortunate." Adrian leaned forward, effectively ending the subject. "Tell me about your job search. Any promising leads?" The deflection was smooth but obvious. Lily filed it away with her growing list of questions about Adrian Cole, questions that multiplied every time she was with him. Over the next week, Adrian became a constant presence in her life. He drove her to work, picked her up for lunch, and appeared at her apartment with takeout from restaurants she couldn't afford. He was charming, attentive, and utterly committed to her safety in a way that should have felt suffocating, but somehow didn't. Perhaps it was because Adrian never demanded anything in return. He didn't interrogate her about her day, or grow jealous when male coworkers spoke to her. He simply existed in her orbit like a protective satellite, always there, but never overwhelming. "This is insane," Lily told herself, as Adrian walked her to her building after another dinner. "Normal people don't behave this way." But when her phone buzzed with another blocked text, "He's watching you sleep. Check your windows," she was profoundly grateful for Adrian's solid presence beside her. "That's it," Adrian said, reading over her shoulder. "You're not staying here alone tonight." "I can't just—" "Hotel, my treat." His tone left no room for argument. unless you'd prefer to spend the night wondering if Ryan has found a way inside. 2 hours later, Lily was settling into a suite at the Four Seasons that probably cost more per night than she made in a week. Adrian had arranged everything with a single phone call, including the security detail she wasn't supposed to notice, but definitely did. Meanwhile, across town in a private office overlooking Central Park, Adrian paced behind his mahogany desk while Marcus Romano watched with growing concern. "This is getting complicated, boss," Marcus said. His voice carried the weight of 30 years managing Adrian's business interests, both legitimate and otherwise. 3 meetings canceled, 2 shipments delayed, and now you're playing bodyguard to a girl you've known for 8 days. "She's in danger." Adrian's voice was flat, final. "From some obsessed ex-boyfriend? Yes, but Adrian." Marcus leaned forward in his chair. "What if this is bigger than that? What if she's not some innocent victim who serendipitously stumbled into your path?" Adrian stopped pacing. "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that, in our line of work, coincidences simply do not exist." Marcus pulled out a tablet, swiping to a series of photographs. "Ryan Mitchell, MBA from Northwestern, works for Hartley Consulting. But look deeper. 3 of his recent clients have connections to the Torino family." The name hit Adrian like a physical blow. The Torinos had been trying to muscle in on his territory for months, probing for weaknesses, testing boundaries. "You think she's working with them?" "I think a beautiful woman with a conveniently dangerous ex-boyfriend shows up at precisely the right moment to capture your attention." Marcus's expression was grim. "And suddenly, you're distracted, vulnerable, changing your established patterns." Adrian gazed through the window, the city lights reflecting his ethereal image on the glass. Lily's face instantly materialized in his mind, her genuine terror, her trembling form against him at the opulent gala, and the grateful smile she offered when he provided solace. "Initiate more thorough background checks," he finally instructed. "However, Marcus, if your suspicions are unfounded regarding this woman, then I shall personally extend my apologies to her," Marcus interjected, rising and adjusting his suit jacket. "But, boss, in 3 decades, my judgment concerning such arrangements has never faltered." As Marcus departed, Adrian remained by the window, caught between an undeniable surge of emerging emotions and the stark rationality that had sustained him in a relentlessly unforgiving world where trust was an unaffordable luxury. His phone vibrated with a message from Lily. "Thank you for everything. I'm not sure how I'll ever reciprocate." Adrian considered the text for a prolonged moment before deleting it without a reply. In his profession, paranoia was not a flaw of character. It was a fundamental trait for survival. Lily, immersed in reviewing quarterly reports within the confined break room of Peterson and Associates, was startled by the eruption of shouts. Initially, she dismissed it as another intense debate among the partners. The small marketing firm thrived amidst meticulously managed chaos. However, her name suddenly reverberated across the office floor. "Where is she? I know she works here." Her blood ran cold. Ryan's voice, raised and aggressive, pierced the thin walls with shocking clarity. Lily's coffee mug slipped from her grasp, shattering against the linoleum floor in a shower of ceramic shards and tepid liquid. "Sir, you must compose yourself." Janet's voice, emanating from reception, intervened. "I cannot assist you otherwise. Do not instruct me to calm down. I am her boyfriend, and I demand to speak with Lily Thompson at once." Lily pressed herself against the break room wall, her heart violently pounding against her ribs. Through the glass partition, she observed Ryan in the main office area, his hair disheveled, and his usually impeccable appearance undone. He wore the same expensive suit from the gala, though it now appeared slept in, wrinkled from what she suspected were days of obsessive planning. "There you are." Ryan's tone shifted to a disgustingly saccharine lilt as he spotted her engaged in what he perceived as a game of hide-and-seek. "Lily, that's hardly becoming." Every head in the office swiveled toward the break room. Her colleagues, individuals with whom she had meticulously cultivated professional relationships, stared with a blend of curiosity and alarm as Ryan pushed past Janet's desk. "Ryan, you cannot be here," Lily stated, stepping into the doorway. "This is my place of employment. You need to leave." "Your workplace?" Ryan scoffed, his laughter harsh and derisive. You mean this pathetic little cubicle where you fabricate a career? Come on, Lily. We both know you're merely playing dress-up. Heat surged to her cheeks as conversations throughout the office ceased entirely. Even Mr. Peterson emerged from his corner office, his expression concerned yet uncertain how to navigate the domestic drama unfolding in his professional domain. You abandoned me for this? Ryan gestured dismissively at the modest office space. For some fanciful life in New York where you presumably matter, where people genuinely respect you? His voice escalated with each word, meticulously drawing out every syllable like a weapon. You're a nobody here, just as you were a nobody with me. That is sufficient. Lily's voice remained steady despite the searing humiliation in her chest. You are making a spectacle of yourself. I am making a spectacle of myself? Ryan advanced, encroaching on her personal space in a manner that caused several coworkers to shift uncomfortably. You are the one who fled like a coward. You are the one who has been deceiving everyone here about having some wealthy boyfriend. Sir, I am contacting security, Janet announced, reaching for her phone. Do not bother, Ryan retorted, his gaze fixated on Lily. I will depart once I have conveyed what I came to say. He raised his voice, addressing the entire office. Did all of you realize that Lily here is a deceiver? She crashed a charity gala last week, masquerading as someone she clearly is not. Is there an issue here? Adrian's voice cleaved through Ryan's tirade like a blade through silk. Every head turned toward the office entrance, where he stood in the doorway, immaculately composed in a navy suit that somehow rendered everyone else appearing underdressed. Yet, it was not merely Adrian's presence that commanded attention. It was the two men flanking him, both tall, broad-shouldered, and exuding an air of coiled stillness that hinted at readily accessible force. They wore expensive suits, but their eyes meticulously scanned the room with professional assessment, cataloging exits and potential threats with military precision. Ryan's mouth snapped shut mid-sentence, his bravado instantly dissipating as he registered the subtle threat embodied by Adrian's companions. Adrian, Lily exhaled, relief flooding her tone. My apologies for the delay, sweetheart, Adrian stated, advancing toward her with this unhurried confidence. His men remained by the door, silent sentinels whose presence irrevocably altered the entire atmosphere of the office. Traffic was a nightmare. You simply cannot. Ryan found his voice as Adrian approached. Cannot what? Adrian's tone remained conversational, yet something lethal simmered beneath the surface. Cannot simply pick up my girlfriend from work? Cannot object when some unstable ex-boyfriend harasses her at her job? The word unstable struck Ryan like a physical blow. His face flushed crimson, but as he moved to respond, his gaze flickered to the two men by the door, and the words withered in his throat. Adrian extended his hand to Lily, palm up, fingers steady and ready. Lily glanced around the office at the captivated faces of her co-workers, at Janet's wide eyes, at Mr. Peterson's evident confusion. The professional reputation she had painstakingly built lay in ruins, but remaining would only exacerbate the situation. She placed her hand in Adriana's, feeling the warm strength of his fingers close around hers. Gentlemen, Adrian nodded to his companions, who immediately positioned themselves to flank him and Lily as they moved toward the exit. Ryan stepped sideways, obstructing their path. This is not over. Yes, Adrian stated quietly. It is. One of Adrian's men, the taller one with salt and pepper hair, subtly shifted, and Ryan stumbled backward as if he had been physically shoved, though no one had touched him. Have a pleasant day, Mr. Mitchell, Adrian said amiably, then guided Lily past the frozen tableau toward the elevator. As the doors closed, Lily caught a glimpse of her co-workers still staring, and Ryan standing alone in the center of the office, his hands clenched into fists and his face contorted with impotent rage. How did you know? Lily inquired as they descended. I have people monitoring, Adrian replied matter-of-factly. The moment he entered your building, I was notified. The casual delivery of this information sent shivers down her spine. People monitoring, notifications, men who could make grown men retreat with a mere glance. Adrian, what exactly? Later, he gently interjected. For now, let us focus solely on getting you somewhere secure. That night, Ryan sat in his rental car 3 blocks from Adrian's restaurant, observing through binoculars as sleek black vehicles passed through the service entrance. Men in expensive suits meticulously transported packages, their faces hardened and vigilant. When Adrian finally emerged at midnight, he was not alone. An older man with silver hair walked beside him, speaking in low, urgent tones. Behind them, 4 more men formed a protective semicircle, the kind of security detail typically employed by billionaires or required by crime bosses. Ryan's phone buzzed with time-stamped and geocoded photos he had taken, license plates of vehicles not registered to any legitimate business, and faces that appeared in FBI databases with affiliations to organized crime families. As Adrian's convoy vanished into the night, Ryan smiled for the first time in weeks. "So, that is your secret?" he whispered to the empty street. "Time to bring you down." Lily's phone rang at 2:17 a.m., jolting her from a restless sleep in the luxurious Four-Seasons suite Adrian had insisted she occupy. The number was blocked, but she instinctively knew its origin before answering. "Please, do not hang up." Ryan's voice was transformed, quiet, broken, shorn of its usual arrogance. I need 5 minutes, please. Ryan, it is the middle of the night. I know, and I am sorry. God, Lily, I am so sorry for everything." His voice cracked with convincing sincerity. "What I did at your office today, I was completely out of line, entirely out of line." Lily sat up in the Egyptian cotton sheets, her defenses automatically rising. Ryan apologizing was akin to a cobra shedding its skin. The appearance might change, but the venom remained. "You humiliated me in front of my co-workers," she stated coldly. "I know, and I despise myself for it." The sound of traffic filtered through the phone, suggesting he was calling from a car. "I have been driving around for hours, contemplating what a mess I have made of everything, about how I lost the best thing that ever happened to me." Despite herself, Lily felt a flicker of the old sympathy that had ensnared her for 2 years. Ryan had always been a master at identifying her vulnerabilities, at knowing precisely when to display weakness to make her question her own anger. "Ryan, I am not asking you to take me back," he quickly asserted. "I know I do not deserve that. Could we talk, just once? Somewhere public, somewhere safe? I need to apologize properly, and there are things you need to know about him." The final 2 words were uttered with such gravity that Lily's stomach tightened. "What things?" "Not over the phone. Meet me tomorrow, that coffee shop on 5th Avenue, the one near the library. Noon, 1 conversation, and then I will leave you alone forever. I swear." Lily gazed out the hotel window at the city lights, knowing she should terminate the call, knowing this was precisely the sort of manipulation that had trapped her for years. "1 conversation," she heard herself say, "in public." As you depart from New York, a genuine relief permeates Ryan's voice. "Thank you, Lily," he says, a promise in his tone. "You won't regret this." The Bryant Park Cafe is bustling with the lunchtime crowd, precisely as Ryan orchestrated, a public venue for safety, yet sufficiently vibrant to ensure their conversation remains private. Lily arrives 10 minutes ahead of schedule, instinctively selecting a table, offering an unobstructed view of all exits, a habit subtly ingrained by Adrian. Punctually at noon, Ryan appears, exuding the charm of the man she once adored. A stark contrast to the unhinged stalker who had plagued her office. His hair is meticulously styled, his clothes immaculate, and his expression appropriately contrite. He's even brought white roses, her favorite. "Thank you for coming," he says, settling into the chair opposite her. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," Lily confesses, clutching her coffee cup, deliberately avoiding his gaze and the flowers. "You have 20 minutes. "I've been seeking help," Ryan begins, his voice deliberately measured. "Therapy, anger management, Dr. Morrison. She's assisting me in understanding the roots of my possessiveness, my controlling behavior. It's an effective opening, combining accountability with a glimmer of hope for change. Yet, Lily has heard variations of this monologue before, often preceding a relapse into his unsettling patterns. "That's good, Ryan. I'm glad you're getting help. The thing is, Lily, part of recovery involves making amends, but it also means safeguarding those you care about from future harm. He leans in, his brown eyes wide with feigned concern. "And I'm worried about you." "About me? About Adrian Cole?" Ryan's voice drops to a near whisper. "Lily, he isn't who you perceive him to be. I fear you're merely a pawn in whatever game he's orchestrating." And there it is, the true motive behind this carefully staged meeting. "Don't!" Lily snaps, her voice sharp with indignation. "Don't you dare attempt to manipulate me by attacking the only person who has genuinely protected me from your harassment." "I hired a private investigator," Ryan persists, as if she hasn't uttered a word. "Just to ensure your safety, you understand?" "And what we uncovered?" He shakes his head, feigning genuine distress. "Lily, Adrian Cole doesn't import luxury goods. He launders money through a dozen shell companies, all linked to the Lucchese crime family. Those men who were with him yesterday, they're enforcers. Muscle." "That's ridiculous." "Is it?" Ryan pulls out his phone, scrolling through a series of photographs. "These were taken outside his restaurant 3 nights ago. Do you recognize any of these faces?" Despite her resolve, Lily finds herself glancing at the images. They depict Adrienne emerging from what appears to be a service entrance, flanked by the same men who had accompanied him to her office. But there are others too, faces she doesn't recognize but bearing the same hardened, dangerous quality. "I don't care what your private investigator thinks he saw." "Vincent Torino," Ryan interjects, pointing to a silver-haired man in one of the photos. "On the FBI's most wanted list for the past 3 years. Racketeering, money laundering, suspected in at least 6 murders. And there he is, shaking hands with your boyfriend." Lily's coffee cup clatters against the saucer as she sets it down. She recognizes the older man from the photos. He had been at the restaurant where she and Adrienne dined, seated at a corner table with 2 other men in expensive suits. "Even if this is true, which I don't believe, what does it matter?" Her voice, however, lacks conviction. "It matters because you're in danger." Ryan leans across the table, his voice urgent. "Think about it, Lily. Why would someone like Adrian Cole be interested in someone like you? No offense, but you're not exactly moving in his circles." The words sting, echoing her own unspoken doubts. She has questioned this very thing countless times over the past week. Maybe because I needed help, and he's a good person. Good people don't have bodyguards, Lily. Good people don't make other men back down with a mere glance. Good people don't have the kind of connections that can secure you a suite at the Four Seasons with a single phone call at midnight. Each point strikes her like a physical blow, resonating with observations she had made but consciously suppressed. "I have to go," Lily declares, standing abruptly. "Lily, wait." Ryan gently grasps her wrist. "I'm not telling you this to hurt you. I'm telling you because I love you and I'm scared for you. Just be careful. Ask him the difficult questions." Observe his reaction when you press him. Lily pulls free and walks away, leaving the white roses on the table. But Ryan's words follow her onto the street, intertwining with her own observations to form a potent cocktail of doubt she cannot shake. Bodyguards appearing from nowhere. Restaurant staff treating Adrian like royalty. The unquestioning deference shown to him by other influential men. The lavish lifestyle with no apparent source of income. As she hails a taxi, Lily realizes with a jolt that she knows nothing concrete about the man who has, in just 10 days, become the focal point of her world. 2 hours later, Ryan sits in a Queens warehouse facing 2 men whose notoriety makes seasoned killers uneasy. "So," the younger man begins, his Brooklyn accent thick, "you're saying you can deliver Adrian Cole?" "I'm saying I can deliver his weakness," Ryan corrects. "He's compromised himself for this girl. Made himself vulnerable. With the right pressure, she becomes leverage." The older man, whose scarred hands have ended more lives than any illness, slowly smiles. "Mr. Mitchell, I believe this is the genesis of a beautiful partnership." Outside, the first snowflakes of winter begin to fall, cloaking the city in a deceptive veil of pristine white. The text arrives at 11:47 p.m., just as Lily is settling into bed at the Four Seasons. "I know you're angry, but please read this. I'm leaving New York tomorrow morning, and I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try one more time. I'm at the parking garage where we used to meet when you visited the city. Level 3, same spot. I have something that belonged to your mother. I should have given it back months ago. Please, Lily, 5 minutes and then I'm gone forever. Lily stares at the message, her heart tightening. Her mother's jewelry had vanished from her Chicago apartment just before she left Ryan. She had always suspected he took it, but could never prove it. Her grandmother's pearl necklace, the sole valuable heirloom her family possessed. She should call Adrian, inform him about the text, let him handle it with his enigmatic resources and dangerous associates. But the mention of her mother's necklace renders rational thought impossible. Those pearls are all she has left of the woman who raised her alone, who toiled double shifts to finance Lily's college education. 5 minutes, she texts back. Then you leave New York and never contact me again. The parking garage is the same one she used during her brief visits to the city while dating Ryan, a dreary concrete structure serving the business district, largely deserted at night. Level 3 had been their rendezvous point, offering privacy from street-level foot traffic. Lily's heels echo in the vacant space as she makes her way toward the far corner where Ryan's rental car waits, its hazard lights blinking. He stands beside the driver's door, holding a small velvet box, looking appropriately penitent. "Thank you for coming," he says softly as she approaches. "I know it was a lot to ask. Where's my mother's necklace?" Lily stops 6 feet away, close enough to see the box, yet far enough to flee if necessary. "Right here." Ryan opens the velvet case, revealing the familiar strand of pearls that graced her mother's neck at every significant occasion. "I took it when you left. I know that was wrong, but I couldn't bear to let go of every piece of you." Despite her anger, seeing the necklace brings tears to Lily's eyes. "Give it to me." "Of course." Ryan steps closer, extending the box. "Lily, I want you to know that everything I did, the controlling behavior, the jealousy, following you here, it all stemmed from love. Twisted, sick love, but love nonetheless. Ryan, I know you can't forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness." His voice is thick with what sounds like genuine emotion. "But I hope someday you'll remember that I loved you the only way I knew how." Lily reaches for the jewelry box, her guard dropping in the face of what appears to be authentic remorse. The instant her fingers brush the velvet, Ryan's other hand strikes like a viper, pressing a cloth over her nose and mouth. The cloying chemical scent of chloroform floods her lungs before she can scream. Her vision blurs as Ryan's arms catch her falling body, his voice the last sound she hears before darkness consumes her. "I'm sorry, Lily, but you left me no choice." Adrian is reviewing shipping manifests in his private office when Marcus bursts through the door without knocking, a breach of protocol that instantly puts Adrian on high alert. "Boss, we have a problem." Marcus's face is grave as he holds up his phone. "Text just came in. They have her." The blood in Adrian's veins turns to ice water as he reads the message from an unknown number. "Come to the warehouse on Pier 47. Come alone or she dies. You have 2 hours. A friend?" For an agonizing 3 seconds, Adrian sits in perfect stillness. Then his meticulously constructed facade, the mask of a civilized businessman, shatters completely. "Get me everything," he snarls, rising from his chair with predatory grace. "Every camera in a 10-block radius of her hotel. Traffic patterns, cell tower pings. I want to know who took her and where they are. Now." Marcus, who has served Adrian for 15 years, has witnessed him order executions with the same calm he uses to order coffee. He has never seen his boss lose control. "Adrian, we need to consider this logically." "No." Adrian's voice is lethally quiet as he moves to the wall, safe behind his desk. "We don't consider, we act." "How many men can you mobilize within half an hour?" Marcus asked, his tone cautious. "Boss, this situation could very well be a setup. If we go in guns blazing, we need to be overwhelmingly prepared." Adrian, with practiced efficiency, withdrew a Glock 19, briefly checked its magazine, then slipped it into a shoulder holster. "Marcus, that woman is everything to me. Do you grasp the gravity of that? Everything." The unspoken confession hung heavy between them. Marcus had harbored suspicions, but hearing it articulated shifted everything. "If she perishes because of my hesitation, because I prioritize political maneuvering or worried about exposure, I swear I will raze this entire city to the ground." Adrian continued, his gray eyes now reflecting a chilling resolve that unnerves seasoned killers. "I'll start with whoever abducted her and systematically dismantle every family, every crew, Every street corner dealer until someone pays the ultimate price. Marcus nodded gravely. I'll make the necessary preparations. Lily awoke to the distinct metallic taste of copper and the rhythmic sound of dripping water. Her head pounded as awareness slowly seeped back into her fragmented senses. A cold concrete floor, zip ties constricting her wrists, the cloying scent of abandonment and decay. Good. You're finally awake. Ryan's voice emanated from behind her. I was beginning to fear I'd administered too much chloroform. She discovered herself tethered to a metal chair within what appeared to be a derelict warehouse. Rust stains streaked the walls, resembling dried blood, while harsh industrial lighting cast stark shadows across mounds of disintegrating wooden crates and broken machinery. Ryan, she rasped, her throat raw. What are you doing? Precisely what I should have done from the outset, Ryan declared, stepping into her line of sight, his previous facade of remorse utterly gone, replaced by unmasked obsession. Reclaiming what is rightfully mine. I was never yours, Lily countered. You were my everything, Ryan retorted, his composure fracturing to reveal a simmering resentment. 2 years, Lily, 2 years of my life invested in you, only for you to discard it all for some criminal in a tailored suit with a charming smile. He's not a criminal, she insisted. Ryan let out a harsh laugh. Did you truly believe I was fabricating it? Your precious Adrian Cole is every bit the man I warned you about. A killer, a criminal, a man who leaves a trail of destruction in his wake, and now he will be forced to choose between his empire and your life. The warehouse door groaned in the wind, its desolate sound echoing like a death knell through the cavernous space. For the first time since this nightmare began, Lily fully comprehended the treacherous world she had unwittingly entered. A world where affection and brutality were inextricably linked, where men like Adrian commanded armies, and adversaries like Ryan ruthlessly exploited innocent individuals as pawns. He won't come, she uttered, attempting more to convince herself than Ryan. Oh, he'll come, Ryan asserted, checking his watch with a smirk of satisfaction. A man doesn't encircle a woman with such elaborate protection unless she holds extraordinary significance. The real question is, what is he willing to sacrifice to retrieve you? In the distance, the throbbing rumble of approaching engines, multiple vehicles closing in rapidly, became audible on the night air. Ryan's smile widened as he produced a knife, its blade glinting menacingly under the stark lights. I suppose we're about to find out. The warehouse erupted into pandemonium at precisely 1:43 a.m. Adrian's men moved with phantom-like stealth through the darkness, their boots making no sound on the concrete floor. Lily sensed their presence before she saw them, the faint rustle of tactical gear, the soft click of weapons being readied, the almost imperceptible hand signals exchanged by professionals who had perfected this deadly dance countless times. Ryan spun towards the commotion, his knife trembling at Lily's throat. I instructed you to come alone. I lied. Adrian's voice resonated from the shadows, surprisingly calm and conversational given the dire circumstances, just as you lied about leaving her unharmed. Suddenly, floodlights blazed to life, transforming the warehouse into a scorching theater of conflict. Lily squinted against the blinding glare, her eyes gradually adjusting to reveal Adrian standing a mere 30 feet away, flanked by 8 men in black tactical gear. Yet, it wasn't the weaponry or the military precision that stole her breath. It was Adrian himself. Every vestige of the refined businessman she knew had vanished. His expensive suit had been replaced by black cargo pants and a form-fitting tactical shirt that showcased the lean, hardened musculature of a man for whom violence was a second language. A shoulder holster cradled what appeared to be a military-grade pistol, and his gray eyes had completely frozen like winter steel. This was not the man who had brought her flowers and doted on her safety. This was Adrian Cole in his authentic element, a predator who commanded other predators, a king reigning over a dominion built on fear and unwavering respect. Release her, Ryan, Adrian commanded, taking a deliberate step forward. This is between you and me. No, Ryan retorted, pressing the knife harder against Lily's skin, drawing a thin crimson line. You don't get to negotiate now. You won't prevail this time. Choose, Adrian, your empire or her life. Lily felt the blade puncture her throat and forced herself into absolute stillness, barely daring to breathe. Throughout the warehouse, Adrian's men had assumed their positions with the fluid efficiency of a SWAT team, their weapons trained on Ryan, awaiting their leader's command. "You genuinely believe this is about a choice?" Adrian scoffed, a chilling lack of humor in his voice. "Ryan, you are profoundly unaware of who you are dealing with." "I know precisely who you are," Ryan snarled. Vincent Torino revealed everything about the money laundering, the protection rackets, the people who disappear after crossing you. You are a criminal, and now everyone will witness it. "Vincent is no longer with us," Adrian stated matter-of-factly. "Hasn't been for 3 hours. A truly tragic car accident on the FDR Drive. Very unfortunate." The casual manner in which he announced a man's death sent a shiver down Lily's spine. This was the truth Ryan had desperately tried to convey. Adrian didn't merely associate with dangerous individuals. He was the most dangerous person in the room. "You're lying," Ryan blurted, though a tremor of uncertainty permeated his voice. "Marcus!" Adrian called, his gaze unwavering on Ryan. "Confirmed," Marcus's voice responded from the shadows. "Torino's crew has been dealt with. This warehouse is surrounded. Mr. Mitchell has no viable escape." Ryan's breathing became shallow and rapid now, the knife wavering at Lily's throat as his elaborate plan disintegrated around him. "You can't just... I have evidence. Photos, recordings." "You had evidence," Adrian corrected, emphasizing the past tense. "It's astonishing how completely a good fire can obliterate digital storage devices." "Then I'll kill her," Ryan screamed, his composure finally shattering completely. "I'll kill her, and you'll have to live with the knowledge that it was your fault." "No," Adrian said softly, "you won't." What transpired next unfolded in less than 3 seconds, yet it would forever be etched in Lily's memory. Adrian moved with unnatural speed, producing a knife from somewhere on his person and launching it with astonishing precision. The blade embedded itself in Ryan's wrist, eliciting a howl of pain and forcing him to drop his weapon, releasing Lily's throat. Before Ryan could even register what had happened, Adrian was upon him, covering the 30 feet between them in mere heartbeats, his movements predatory and fluid. He seized Ryan by the throat, effortlessly lifting him off the ground with one hand while the other retrieved his thrown knife. "You made 3 critical errors," Adrian observed conversationally, as Ryan clawed frantically at his grip. "First, you dared to threaten what is mine. Second, you forced her into my world. Third, you mistakenly believed I was the sort of man who engages in negotiations." "Adrian, don't," Lily began, but trailed off as she glimpsed his expression. There was no mercy in those steely gray eyes, no trace of the gentle man who had worried about her safety and brought her coffee. This was the true Adrian Cole, a man who had forged an empire on the understanding that certain transgressions demanded a blood price. "You want to truly know who I am?" Adrian asked Ryan, whose face was rapidly purpling from oxygen deprivation. "I am the monster parents warn their children about. I am the shadow that stalks men like you until you make one mistake too many. I am the reason intelligent people never threaten what I guard." The knife moved faster than Lily could track, finding the precise space between Ryan's ribs with surgical accuracy. Ryan's eyes widened in shock, then glazed over as life swiftly departed him. Adrian released his grip, allowing the body to fall to the concrete floor with a sickening thud. When he turned to Lily, his expression immediately softened, though blood still stained his hands. "Are you hurt?" His voice was gentle once more, filled with concern, as if he hadn't just committed murder 10 feet away from her. Lily stared at him, her mind grappling to reconcile the man she knew with the killer standing before her. "Adrian, You're safe now," he affirmed, moving to sever her restraints with a remarkably steady hand for someone who had just taken a life. "He can no longer harm you. No one can." As the zip ties fell away and feeling returned to her hands, Adrian cupped her face with fingers that still thrummed with the warmth of recent violence. "You will never have to flee from anyone again," he said softly, his gray eyes holding hers with an intensity that was simultaneously terrifying and oddly comforting. "I promise you that." Behind them, Marcus was already orchestrating the cleanup with the efficiency of long practice. Bodies would vanish, evidence would be meticulously scrubbed, and by morning, The warehouse would bear no trace of the violence that had transpired within its walls. Lily looked into Adrian's face, this man who had killed for her without hesitation, and realized her life had just been irrevocably altered. The penthouse overlooking Central Park was nothing like Lily had envisioned. She had anticipated ostentation, gold fixtures, and marble statues, the gaudy displays of wealth she'd seen in films about crime bosses. Instead, Adrian's home was elegantly simple, featuring clean lines, warm woods, and floor-to-ceiling windows that showcased the city lights like scattered diamonds. Lily sat on the leather sofa, a blanket draped around her shoulders, and a cup of tea growing cold in her hands. She hadn't spoken a word during the entire drive from the warehouse. She hadn't pressed him about the efficiency with which his men had made Ryan's body vanish. There was no mention of the blood staining Adrian's hands before he rinsed it away in the car's compact sink. Yet now, in the tranquil sanctuary of his home, the tremor had begun. Adrian knelt before her, his gray eyes searching her face with an unfamiliar vulnerability mixed with fear, as if he, not she, faced an uncertain future. "Just ask me," he offered quietly. "Whatever you need to know, ask." "Are you truly a criminal?" The question emerged as barely a whisper. "Yes," he affirmed, without hesitation or an attempt to soften the stark truth. "I manage what most would label a crime family: money laundering, protection rackets, import businesses that aren't entirely legal. I've killed people, Lily, more than I care to count." She had anticipated this confession would horrify her more profoundly. However, after witnessing his surgical precision in dispatching Ryan, and observing how his trained killers deferred to him, the revelation felt almost anticlimactic. "Why?" she inquired, puzzled. "Why this kind of life?" Adrian settled back on his heels, his hands resting on his knees. "I was 16 when my father died, a heart attack, completely unforeseen. He left behind substantial debts owed to some extremely dangerous individuals, debts that would have been settled in blood unless I found an alternative." He rose and walked to the window, his form a ghostly reflection against the urban glow. "I had a choice: watch my mother and sister perish, or become someone these dangerous people would respect. So, I became a monster, Lily. I constructed an empire founded on fear and violence because it was the only means to safeguard those I cherished, and now the empire operates autonomously. I could depart tomorrow, and it would continue without me." He turned back to her, his expression raw. "But I remain because leaving would create a power vacuum, and power vacuums invariably lead to innocent casualties." Lily gently placed her teacup down, her hands noticeably steadier than an hour prior. "That's not what I truly meant." "I know." Adrian moved closer, stopping just beyond arm's reach. "You want to understand why I rescued you? Why I upended my entire organization for a woman I'd known for merely 10 days? Yes. Because the instant you grasped my arm at that gala, everything shifted." His voice was soft, almost contemplative. "For 15 years, my world has been one where everyone seeks something from me: money, protection, power, fear. But you simply needed someone to be kind. And when I extended kindness to you, you gazed at me as if I were a hero, not a monster." Tears blurred Lily's vision. "Lily, I fell in love with who I became when I was with you," he continued, his words spilling out with uncharacteristic urgency. "You helped me recall that I chose this life to shield people, not to harm them. You instilled in me a desire to be better. You killed for me tonight. I would slay 1,000 men to ensure your safety." The declaration was delivered with matter-of-fact certainty. "I would raise the world if it meant you could sleep without fear." His intense devotion should have terrified her. Instead, it suffused her with an unprecedented warmth, the realization of being truly, completely loved. "Ryan was right, you know," Lily said, rising and approaching him. "I'm nobody special. I crashed a party in a borrowed dress, seeking a job I probably won't secure. I'm not glamorous or sophisticated or worthy of someone upending their life for me. You're mistaken." Adrian's hands rose to cup her face, his thumbs gently erasing tears she hadn't realized were falling. "You're everything, Lily. You're hope in a world I'd forgotten could be beautiful. You're the impetus for me to desire more than just being a man other men dread." "Your world is perilous," she whispered. "Terrifyingly so. People will try to harm me to reach you. They'll die trying." Lily met his gaze, those gray depths that could turn as frigid as winter or as tempestuous as summer storms, and made her decision. "I don't care about your past," she stated firmly. "I don't care about the blood on your hands or the empire you constructed or the enemies who wish you dead. I care about us. I care about the man who brought me coffee and concerned himself with my safety and made me feel protected for the first time in my life." Adrian's relief was palpable, his forehead resting against hers. "Are you certain? Because once you are truly mine, there's no turning back. My world offers neither second chances nor easy escapes." "Then it's a good thing I don't want either." Adrian stepped back and retrieved a ring from his pocket. Not a garish display of wealth, but a simple band of white gold adorned with a single diamond that refracted the light like captive starfire. "This was my grandmother's," he explained, taking her left hand with reverent care. "She instructed me to give it only to a woman worth dying for." The ring slipped onto her finger with perfect precision, warm from his touch, and weighted with quiet promise. "Not as a mark of possession," Adrian said softly, "but as a pledge. You will always have my protection, my loyalty, my love. Everything I am, everything I've built, it's yours now." "And you have me," Lily replied, her voice firm despite the tears streaming down her face. "All of me, the frightened girl who fled Chicago and the woman brave enough to love a king." Adrian then kissed her, soft and desperate, brimming with promises they would spend their lives fulfilling. From the doorway, Marcus observed his boss holding the woman who had transformed him from a cold-hearted king into a man capable of love. After 30 years of service, he had never seen Adrian so completely, utterly happy. "Well, I'll be damned," Marcus murmured to himself, a smile tugging at his weathered features. The boss finally found his queen. Beyond the penthouse windows, New York glittered like a kingdom awaiting conquest. And for the first time in 15 years, Adrian Cole had someone truly worth ruling it for.